is Velma White, and I live at 3116 Fulton. I've been residing there for 37 years.
How many people made up your household?
It was 6.
Of those household members, what are some of the health problems they suffer with?
Respiratory, kidney, heart, lead, joint diseases. That's about it.
So is there anything different about the refinery and neighborhood then as opposed to now?
Yes, a lot different. When we moved in that community 37 years ago, it was a well-upkept community, predominantly white. The greenery was good. The refinery was small, even though they had incidents there, but it was smaller. The time we moved in that area, the name of that refinery was Pennzoil at the time. Pennzoil, Atlas, Pennzoil, Quaker State. They had several different names before it became Calumet. And that area, it was actually, when we moved in that area, I didn't see anything wrong in that area, but I didn't know about chemical at that time either. But as living there, different accident happened at that refinery. I started noticing the smell, and one of the things that I noticed the most about that refinery is that when my daughter got sick, that really drew my attention. So actually that refinery is like 4 times bigger today than it was when I moved in that area.
So would you like to tell us about your daughter's health problem and how it's associated with, how you believe it's associated with Calumet?
At age 17, my daughter started seeking and going into the military. She did all the things that she's supposed to do to get into the military. And in fact, they came and they picked her up and took her to the airport. 30 minutes later, they brought her back home, and I'm thinking, what is wrong? And they said, well, we can't take her because of medical reason. What is the medical reason? Said she had a high protein spill. Okay, immediately, they recommended she see a doctor, and we taken her to the doctor. They did a 24-hour urine test on her, and they found out that she did have a very high level of protein spill. At that time, that's when I found out that the high level protein spill had a lot to do, it had everything to do with her kidney. So at the time I found out, after the doctor did his study, that my daughter was going into kidney failure. I'm saying, why? I mean, she's so young. And let me ask you a little something about kidney failure. What have been the diagnosed to lead up to kidney failure? He said, ma'am, the main cause of kidney failure is diabetes and hypertension. Okay? So my daughter didn't have hypertension. And my daughter don't have diabetes. So what is the cause in her to be in renal failure? Well, we don't know, ma'am. We just know that she has a high protein spill. Okay? So immediately I started blaming myself that it got to be something that I'd done in my caring for her as being from a baby up until now, or something I did before she was born. And what could have caused this problem? So as time went on, I would never forget, in the year of 1984, excuse me, that refinery had a terrible accident there. In fact, they had men riding around on the back of a truck with a bullhorn stated for everybody to be on standby for evacuation. So, and then I thought back to that day, and I'm thinking, now, what is going on at this place? What is this place, and what do it deal with? But they had another incident after I found out my daughter was going into renal failure. And I got out and I went and I mingled with the people and I started asking them, what is this refine? What is this plant? What do this plant make? And one of the neighbors, he's deceased now, he told me, he said, Miss White, there's a lot been going on here. These people dealing with all type of dangerous chemical. I said, okay. So immediately I found out what I need to do and how I need to do to get the name of these chemicals that this plant is working with. So I got the name of the chemicals, and I immediately went to this chemist and I said, look at these chemicals and tell me some of the things that can happen with a human body if they inhaling this every day. Immediately he come up with cadmium. At the time that refinery was doing leaded gasoline, and they use cadmium in leaded gasoline. Okay, I said, so when I go back to the doctor with my daughter, I'm gonna ask the doctor about cadmium, and by doctors not just into chemicals, or they're not toxicologists or epidemiologists. So I asked him, I said, I found out that cadmium is a kidney killer. What could you tell me about that? He said, oh ma'am, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, so that would raise my suspicions about that refinery. And as I spoke earlier, back in 1984, exactly 1984, when this refinery had an incident and all the chemicals got out. Actually, it was like the fall part of the year, but to me it was just like a hot July day, because I went to the door and I seen these chemicals on the streets. You could see the heat wave from these chemicals. And at the time, my daughter that lost her kidney, she was the oldest child, so she was like a teenager, so I just didn't make her come in the house like I did the other young children. And then she stayed outside. And I thought back, and I'm thinking, what was released back in and when that plant did that? Was cadmium released, or just what it was? But that's what made me took interest, and I just started doing whatever I possibly could, turning to whoever I possibly could turn to and say, look, something is wrong at that place. Let's try to find out what it is. I need to know what it is, because I feel like it has injured my daughter. My daughter ended up going into renal failure, and she has none of the symptoms. She had none of the symptoms, or she was never diagnosed with being hypertension or diabetes. So it got to be the chemical at this plant that is doing it. So after that, it went downhill for my daughter. Sad to say, she went into complete renal failure. She went on dialysis. At the time she went on dialysis, my daughter had 3 children. And that really brought in a lot of devastating things. I was going to college. I had to quit college to take care of my grandchildren because my daughter stayed in and out of the hospital. It caused a financial burden on us. Because we had to pay these doctor bills in order for my daughter to get the care that she needed, until we got her to where she would get some state assistance for being on dialysis. And this went on for years and years, and I prayed hard that God would help me to reveal that this refinery is hurting people. So that's how it related to my daughter's health.
So do you suffer any health problems you believe are associated with the plant?
Yeah, now I do. For a while, God was good, and He's still good. He kept me healthy. I didn't have all the aches and pains, and I think it's because of years of getting older. But I found out I ended up with a lot of joint problems. I end up with hypertension. And I never had been diagnosed with hypertension until about 2.5 years ago. And then I had this on my neck that I feel is related to being exposed to these different type of chemicals. So yeah, I would relate that refinery to my decreasing of health.
Are you taking any medications?
I am. I'm taking blood pressure medicine. 3 types of blood pressure medicine as of today.
Do you feel that children in the community are able to play outside safely?
The parents shouldn't. I mean, you can't stop the kids from going outside, but the parents should let their children be so freely to go outside, especially when they get an order. They should let their children be exposed out there, you know, because if we is smelling this and we know these chemicals are in the air, then eventually they're coming down and going to the ground. So in our soil, it's dangerous for our kids to play outside.
So can you tell me what it's like living on a day-to-day basis with the refinery in the center of your community?
Oh, it's a nightmare. It is strictly a nightmare because of I mean, since I've got knowledgeable and realized that refinery is there and that refinery is doing harm, I can describe it as being a nightmare because you wake up the next morning and you're thinking, I mean, you know, what are we going to get exposed to today and how can we protect ourselves? So living in that community, it really is like a nightmare.
Okay, when speaking about the children, how is it different from what you envision for them as in being able to enjoy themselves outside of the home?
As I can see as of today, our children, our young children in this community has some people don't believe that this refinery is doing, you know, that this refinery is doing any type of harm. But realistic, they shouldn't even let their kids be outside. Really, if somebody, as you discover, when you learn better, you do better. When you look at things as of today, if somebody would have told me this, then I wouldn't have to go through with what I had to go through with watching my daughter go through with so much.
So do you feel this is a normal quality of life?
No. No, it's not, but not by a long shot. It could never be a normal quality of life. Our quality of life has been taken from us. We're not able to live the way some people can live and enjoy being out in their yard. Maybe they want to plant a garden or grow fruit trees. If you do, you're scared to eat them. You are really scared to eat them. We had a plum tree growing in our yard. Big plum tree. But cut it down. Who wants to eat them plums? It's bad enough we ingesting this, not less than we eating it. I remember this man that lived across the street from us had the beautiful garden. He always had different vegetables. And before I learned about this plant, I would buy vegetables from this man. But since then, no way. So that really changed our quality of living. You're not able to do things that people are able to do where they live.
Okay, so do you ever notice any odors coming from the refinery?
Yeah, plenty. H2S, sulfur dioxide, benzene, amine. We go to the complete in-group. You smell that you smell that in that community, and it's stifling at times. And you know, over and over, out of all these years, I've smelled these chemicals, and every time they have an incident there, my first reaction is, what is this gonna affect in my body, and what is this gonna affect in my neighbor's body, in my people in the community body? You know, in this area, you know, the health rate, the health diagnosis is really bad in this area. You can ride down the street and you're going to see houses with oxygen in use. You know, and you're not just going to see it on one or two doors. You're going to find it on... I hadn't did an accurate count, but if you just really notice it, you will find just right in the 3 streets from Fulton, DeSoto, region, I have seen approximately 12 houses with oxygen in use in that little short area.
Does these odors have any effect on you, such as like maybe itchy eyes, scratchy throat, anything like that?
Yeah, it affects my eyes. My eyes often burn. Since learning better, I try to use mask now. I try to use mask when I go out and I smell these odors, or I'm going out to do a bucket sample, or I put a mask on to try to help protect myself to the best of my ability. So yeah, I have the itchy eyes, and my nose constantly burned. I remember one incident, it was so bad, I kept a sinus type symptoms for 2 weeks because of what I smelled that one particular day.
How often do you smell these odors?
Basically every single day that God wakes me up, I'm going to catch some type of odor in that area.
How does this affect your daily routine?
It affects my daily routine because normally I could get up maybe and before I learned better, sit around or sit in the backyard. I've always been an outdoors person. But now is get up, you go outside. Might be a little strong today, so I'm going to go back in the house, and get dressed, and then I'll go to my job or wherever I want to go. But it keeps you from just really being able to sit around and lounge and just really relax being at home. You always got to keep your guards up.
So if you could talk to an official at Calumet, what would you tell them or ask them to do?
Y'all need to get us up out of here. We can't get y'all out of here, but y'all need to get us up out of here. Give us a chance, a fair chance.
What would you say to someone looking forward to moving into the community surrounding the refinery?
I know there's other areas in Shreveport, other communities in Shreveport that you all can move in. I wouldn't bring my kids in, raise my kids in this area. It bothers me. Sometimes I be going around through the community and I see the little children playing out in the yard, and I be thinking to myself, oh Lord, it's just so sad. These kids, eventually these kids going to end up with some type of illness that's going to limit their ability to have a full life.
Do you feel RAIN is doing a good job bringing these issues to the forefront?
Yes. Yes, I think RAIN is doing a very good job. Thanks to God for giving us the momentum, the willpower that He has given in order to pursue this task, in order to get not just the refinery, but get the governments to realize that no one should live that close to a refinery that deals with those type of chemicals. To get the governments and the refinery owners to realize that they need to be held accountable for hurting people the way they have hurt me and my family.
Do you have any additional comments you'd like to add?
Yes, one of the things I like to add on that is I think at one point I was elaborating on my daughter's health, but there are other issues in there too. My husband, when we moved in that area, we was a well-situated family. We had a very decent income, and I knew we was doing good. And with all of this came up with my daughter, and then eventually it hit my husband, to where he had to have an open heart surgery, which made a big change in our lives. It took me from out of the house, from being a housewife to being a working housewife, to support my family because of my husband's health. It caused us to lose our medical benefits. It just caused a lot of hardship upon us. So I was talking on my daughter's point, but then there's my husband, who have lost dearly in this too. And if he have lost dearly, then I've lost dearly. So that refinery to me has really, really did a job on me and my family.
All right. Thank you for your time.